What's up, everybody? Let's talk tournaments. So they recently announced the A-shaped stakes, and it's another unique qualifying style race where they're rewarding sixth and seventh place for the qualifying period. So everything else is pretty standard. 1 week qualifiers. First, top three move on. As soon as qualifiers are over, they assign the horses to races. And it's been a little bit challenging since the pity point. Since the pity point, you were awarded for coming in fourth. But then once we hit the actual, quarterfinals and beyond, they could only. They pretty much just reverted to standard racing, right? Like first through third is the ones who got paid. They're the ones who advanced. Now, from what I've seen from the Zed team, they said that the reason why they're doing that is because the way the smart contract's written, it's designed to pay out first through third. I feel like there could be a workaround, but I'm not a big Web3 programmer, so I don't know if you could just run them off chain and then assign the money, and instead of doing it through the contract, especially because no one's paying an entry fee. That seems reasonable to me, but I'm not gonna pretend like I know any of the logistics behind doing something like that. But it will be interesting to kind of see what horses qualify. Historically, though, it's the monsters, the Z1s and the Z2s that have been doing well. We did have Moonlight Mile win the Class B for the pity point, I believe. But Moonlight Mile was a Class B winner. Saber Trust, Terms of Engagement, won the pity point A. Then we also have O'Neill who's a Z2. And then, of course, Figure It Out was the winner of the first major tournament, who's also a Z2. And, it's kind of as expected watching these Z1, Z2 Nakamoto's, Genesis horses kind of reign supreme in this tournament style racing, especially with this current structure. It kind of seems reasonable that that's what would happen, right? Nakamoto's are supposed to be the top echelon, and Genesis seem to be more dominant, especially at that level. It is, for me at least, exciting to see that Moonlight Mile was able to qualify and win. But like a lot of people have already talked about, so I'm not going to continue to go over and over it. The fact that they're having these qualifying races, and then once you get into the main part of the tournament, it just reverts back. It's a little disheartening, because I have a horse that I'm planning on trying to qualify, and she just loves 7th place. 6th and 7th is where she lives. As long as she doesn't flame, right? But it doesn't really matter, long distance. She's still pretty new. But a horse like this probably isn't going to be able to make it past maybe the first 2 rounds. But even if you make it through the first 2 rounds, you're still making a significant amount of money. So that's, to me, it's worth it at that aspect. Now, before free racing, you were able to lose points at, if you're thinking about tournaments, you really have to decide, is it worth running your horse up? Because you take a horse like, my horse, Optical Neighbor. She's at the top of the old Class 2. The new Class 2 she'll be pretty set for a while. But I had to, when I downclassed her, between her and Mom Thought, I had to spend nearly 0.12, I think it was. So, at the time, we're talking nearly 500 USD to bring her down to Class 5, and then run her back up for the tournament. And if you're gonna run your horse in the tournament for free races, but then you have to pay to go back down, that's really something you have to measure. Is it worth maybe getting through the first round to do that? Now, like I said, they brought back the negative points for class points in free racing, so that should help. I don't expect that to last very long though, so if you're someone who's planning on utilizing that, I definitely recommend doing that sooner than later, because with most things that we've seen in Zed Run, the really good things, the really good times, they don't stick around because they have to make adjustments because people are able to abuse them, and then it negatively impacts the community in certain ways. And then Zed makes adjustments, whether they're adjustments for the good or the worst. It just kind of depends on where you are in the ecosystem and how you play the game. But like I said, I don't expect to be able to downclass on free races very long, so take advantage of them while you can. Now, that being said, Zed Run has alluded to in general chat that they want to implement the 5% win rate horse event at some point. Sounds like sooner than later, where if your horse has higher than a 5% win rate, it wouldn't qualify for that tier. Now, I don't know if they are using tournament A and B just as a way to test running multiple tournaments, and then when we go into an ELO system or some sort of new event structure, maybe we keep the payouts 1 through 3, but instead of your placement in the tournament be determined by your class points, maybe it is determined by some sort of either win rate or ROI, profits. There's a lot of different things they can do. And the fact that Zed Run was able to launch 2 tournaments with very little spacing in the beginning, and now they're running tournament back to back to back every single week, and they are creatively changing the point structure. I think that should be pretty good sign that these things are going to be here to stay, that they're making improvements, that they're willing to adapt. And I'm pretty excited for it. Will I run my horse for the tournament? I don't know, just because running 25 races right now, I'm not really doing a lot of racing because I'm focusing on making these videos, getting more interviews done, so that way I can make sure that I can follow through on my plan. And then a couple other mints coming up and projects that I'm trying to get involved in. Racing just hasn't been a priority. If I'm doing anything extra with Zed right now, it's hunting down a Finny for the stud program for you guys. So we'll see. It's definitely an interesting tournament structure. She's not a very strong horse so far, so I don't know if it'd even be worth trying to qualify. I think just qualifying with a horse like this would be fun though. So we will see how it plays out. I might go for it. I might. But yeah, just want to kind of touch base on the new tournament. Like I said, explain, that it seems to be a smart contract issue why we take a step forward with the qualifying structure, but then kind of take a step back when it comes to the actual distribution of who gets to win. So yeah, I don't see a lot of people being able to run a Z1 on purpose to get 6th place easily, especially when you look at something like a Figure It Out. It doesn't do that a whole lot. O'Neill a little bit, but not really. And then Terms, yeah, not so much. I'm sure if maybe we did something like, let's see here. Terms has been well raced. So maybe if they run Terms at like 1400, maybe. But as you can see, it just doesn't seem to matter that much. Hasn't been raced a lot there. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Maybe this is the race that the bred horses get to play in some more, or maybe it's the race that the Nakamotos get taken down. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for it. I think everybody else should be too. But definitely take advantage of free racing while it's available when it comes to downclassing, because I know I'm trying to get all my horses to as few class points as possible that do have some sort of reasonable down button. And knowing that they're wanting to implement a 0% win rate class and a 5% win rate class, there is some opportunities for picking up well-raced horses, meaning lots of races, so that we have a lot of race data, but horses that haven't performed well. So, Optical Neighbor was like a 3.8% win rate when I bought her, and then I was able to see what she preferred and where to run her, and now she's closing in on 7%, not even 100 races in owning her. So I think there's definitely a good opportunity to grab those, especially at the Genesis level. Horses with 200-300 races, sub 5% win rate. Make sure that they're down to as few class points as possible, and then wait for those events to come out and see what happens. Because like I said, I don't think they're going to be able to change the way they pay out the races, but they might be able to change who gets to qualify in Class A and Class B by different criteria. So, looking forward to seeing what comes next.